think we are live. Hi everyone, let me know, say hello if you're joining on the replay. Say hi. I'm just going to bring the live up on the laptop. How are you all doing? Let me know if you are watching on the replay. Say hello. Okay. So just checking I am live. So if anyone is watching, let me know you can hear me. Let me know you can see me okay, and then we will make a start. I can see people are starting to join, so say hey if you are here. Can't see myself live yet. Oh yes I can now, there we go. There's some weird light going on today. There's a lot of light. Hey Emma, thanks for joining. Cool. Okay, so people are starting to join. I am so excited to be back live. It's been a little while. There were some things going on as a result of the last live and me having a little bit of fear about coming back. So I'm just going to be like super honest with that and just call that out and say I was feeling the fear about coming back live again. Hey Emma, hey Jill. But I've just decided to do it. Speaking is part of me being authentically me, sharing my authentic truth, and what is authentic is that I I had a little bit of fear come in about doing a live again, so but I'm doing it anyway. So today I want to talk about being authentically you unapologetically and what that really means. And this is, morning Jen, this is what you all voted for in terms of the topic that you wanted me to thanks Jill, you wanted me to talk about, and this is probably, I've sort of figured out, is like one of the, if not the top reason that people are struggling in their lives, in their businesses, is because they are not being 100% authentically them. So something is holding them back. So I want to talk a little bit about what happens when we're not authentically ourselves. Then we're going to talk about what it's like when we are authentically ourselves. We've got a question in from Jen as well, which I'm going to answer here live too. So most people, if you go back to like the real root of this, most people aren't authentically themselves because of conditioning that they've had over their life. And for me as a child, this came out very early on, where I felt like I had something wrong with me. Let me know if this resonates with you. I felt like I had something wrong with me. I felt like I was weird. I felt like I was different. I felt different to my family. I felt different to my friends. And I took on the belief that meant I had something wrong with me, that meant I wasn't good enough. And this really kind of magnified for me when I went to school. I had this kind of like this belief, and when so this kind of, I can remember being age 6, and I can remember thinking, I wonder when my parents are going to tell me what's wrong with me, because there's obviously something. And I kind of like took this belief on, and I would think maybe when I'm 7 they'll tell me, maybe when I'm 8 they'll tell me. And then when I was 8 and I saved my whole family's lives, because of my psychic gifts, because of my intuitive gifts, because I tuned into there being a carbon monoxide leak. How I knew that at 8 years old, I just knew something was wrong, and I stopped my family from going to bed. So at 8 years old, I had like these immense psychic powers, and but for some reason I didn't see that as a gift. I saw it as a curse. I saw it as something weird that I couldn't explain, that you know, had caused me a lot of trauma, because, you know, it was a lot around me, you know, me speaking that and speaking what I was feeling, and being so highly sensitive. And I took that on board as there was something wrong with me. I took that on board that I was just weird. I was different to my family. And I think a lot of us take on these beliefs, take on this conditioning. And I was actually talking to my mum the other day, and my mum was in tears the other day. It was really lovely, and she said to me, I finally feel like you're being your authentic self. She said, like, you just seem completely yourself and at peace with who you are right now. And she said, the last time I saw this in you, you were 5 years old. And she was crying, I was crying, like, and she was like, yeah, the last time I saw you like this, you were 5, and I feel like you've gone back to not gone back to, like, you know, inner child, 5-year-old. I feel like you've gone back to, like, who you were authentically then. So you've, like, cleared all this conditioning. And I was just in tears. I was like, I really have, like, thank you, like, I've done all this work, and this is the reason why, like, I'm comfortable with who I am completely and unapologetically now. So to hear that I'd actually undone that conditioning and I'd done that work was, like, super powerful. So I think when we're highly sensitive as well, you know, we can take this on board as feeling like there's something wrong with us, feeling like we're different as well. I also had a lot of low self-esteem, and this has come up for me a lot in, and not just for me, for clients as well. This has come up for me in doing shadow work. Is almost like, if let's say I desire something, but I'm holding myself back from that thing. So let's say I desire more clients, but to do the shadow work around that, because on the conscious level we might say, well, of course I desire more clients. That just makes sense. Like, so anything that's holding me back from doing that, I'm just going to clear that and I'm going to move forward, right? So that's kind of our, you know, traditional, I guess, coaching method, is to be like, right, what, you know, what's holding you back? Where are you now? Where are you going to get to? But if we look at the shadow side of that, it's, yeah, but what's really, like, how is not having clients benefiting you right now? Like, are you keeping yourself safe by not burning out? Because if you might think on some level, even subconsciously, that if you get more clients, you're going to burn yourself out. So for me, mine always linked back to this feeling weird, feeling different, not feeling good enough, the low self-esteem and the worth. So when I started to do the shadow work, it was like, well, actually, if I hold myself back from getting more clients, from expanding, from using my spiritual gifts in my business, whatever that thing might be, then I've proved my low worth right, and I'm actually really not good enough. So I'm just proving myself right, proving my low self-esteem, proving my self-worth right, proving that inner child me right, that she is weird and different and she doesn't actually deserve it. So when I started to go in and do the shadow work, I realised there was a huge unworthiness piece under this as well, and this was all linked to not being authentically me, because I felt that being authentically me was being so different and weird, and nobody would really want that. And this, actually, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I will just briefly touch on this. This also plays out for what happened. Careful of my throat, it's trying to close up and stop me talking about it. What happened a few weeks ago, where I had a psychic attack, was to do with my sensitivity, but was also to do with my power and light, and how that was triggering somebody else. But I took that on as, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, why can't I deal with this? And it went straight back to that worthiness thing again. So I think a lot of us not being authentically ourselves can link in with that low self-esteem and worthiness thing. So what else do I want to... Yep, so the day that everything changed for me, I can remember it so clearly. I was sat in central London. It was when I was studying positive psychology, and as I was starting to learn positive psychology, one of the core fundamental kind of underpinning, I don't know what the word is, objectives, I guess, of positive psychology is about seeing people as unique, seeing people for their strengths, and tapping into those strengths to invoke energy and positive emotion. And I can remember that day where I came back from my course session that day and I was crying my eyes out, because I just had this realization moment that this was showing me that I could be myself. And it was like, finally, like, there's something out there. So my psychology degree, whilst it was amazing, and, you know, full credit to, you know, my teachers and everything, it was still quite boxy, for want of a better word. You know, it was still very much based on, you know, 1970s and earlier, you know, neuroscience, around, you know, how we kind of fix people. You know, we need to put them in boxes so that we can diagnose them, and, you know, what attachment style do they have. So, you know, almost putting people into those boxes, but positive psychology completely spins it on its head. So I remember that day being in London, crying my eyes out, feeling like, oh my god, there is finally something that gets me. And in particular, learning strengths. So in the positive engagement part of the positive psychology course, was this positive engagement bit, which links to our strengths. And you know, strengths are basically what we are inherently good at. And this for me was so empowering. It was like, oh my gosh, I can just be myself, and I have these strengths, and everyone has these strengths inherently within them. And by using these strengths, this is how I start to move forward. So very croaky today. So strengths, when we think about strengths, sometimes we think about them in terms of, you know, when we get asked in an interview, what are you good at? Okay, but it's so much more than that. It's not just about what you are good at, it is about energy. So as we know, and this like seems to get forgotten about, right? But everything is energy. Everything is energy. This crystal is, you know, it's made of atoms. It's made of energy. Everything is energy. And energy actually trumps everything. As we know from, you know, quantum science, energy is like the most important factor. And I don't know if anyone's heard the phrase Einstein trumps Newton, which I really love, because it's like, think about, you know, energy, frequency, vibration, actually a more, I'm talking lots of my hands, energy, I'm moving the energy, and this is where strengths comes in. So the neuroscience of positive psychology sits behind this, in that when we follow what lights us up, when we're using our strengths, firstly on a neuroscientific level, all of our brain pathways are pinging, the synapses are connecting in our brains. So we are firstly shutting down that fight or flight response. So if we're feeling any fear or anxiety or stress, we're reducing that. We're increasing, and a lawnmower is now going past, I think. Ride on lawnmower, I can hear. We can, someone's got strengths in grass cutting outside right now. So on a neuroscientific level, we're lighting up the brain, which makes us more productive. It makes us more creative. It gives us the ability to work smarter, not harder. We just basically get more shit done because we've got more brain activity. We've got more energy in our brain. But also, because we're tapping into our unique strengths, we're getting lit up. Okay, so when we don't follow our authentic truth, and we don't follow our authentic selves, and we people please, and we have shitty boundaries, what we're doing is we're dulling our light down. But when we're using our strengths, and when we're following that, what lights us up, that will be not only in our brain, creating this energetic capacity, and neuroscientifically creating those connections in our brain, but sending out into the quantum field as well. So we are going to be able to not only do more, we're going to be much nicer person to be around. You know, we're going to feel happier, we're going to feel more joyful, we're going to have more energy to move us forward. So we're literally going to be able to do more things. We're going to have more energy. but we're also going to be able to manifest better as well, because because of what we're sending out into the field. So the more that we dull our light, bring our energy in, the less likely we're going to be able to connect in, manifest, connect to our psychic abilities, our intuition. So by being in our most expressed selves, we are lit up. We then light up the world around us, and this is neuroscientific. This is exists within the quantum field as well. So everything is energy. So don't forget that everything is energy. This is not just about you having I'm having such a lovely time using all my strengths. It's so much more than that. It's not just like I'm doing what lights me up, and that's fine if that's your view, but there's kind of so much more to this. There's so many more ripples to this that are really important. So I touched on boundaries, and I want to talk a little bit about boundaries here, because this is super important, and this has been a big lesson for me. Has been boundaries around what lights me up. So because and I think a lot of us, we're super sensitive, and if we are doing things that don't light us up, and we're doing things to people please. I mean, I people pleased for the first 30 years of my life. And what happens when we people please and we don't have boundaries is we start to go into these situations where either we are absorbing the emotions of others. So this was a biggie for me, was that I would to please my boss, I would go and work in London. I would then, as soon as I'd stepped off the train, I'd already absorbed the emotions of about 20 people. So I would people please to do that. And it was the same with clients as well. I would people please and try and work with everybody. And some of those clients, we weren't necessarily the right fit, or and my energy would get drained, and then I wouldn't have energy for for those that were a good fit. Or it was at a point in my life where I didn't have a social life because I couldn't. It was one or the other. It was like, if I work in London during the week, my weekend I can't leave the sofa because I'm so burnt out, so burnt out. So it had got to that point. So what we want to be doing is setting boundaries around those things that light us up, because everything is energy. If we want to please people, actually we help people more when we're in our true essence, when we are in our most authentically expressed selves. We actually help people more because we're shining our light brighter, and we're holding that space for them in such a different way. So it's so important to set those boundaries. And this could be as simple as, so the other day I really felt like I needed to be in water. I don't know if that's linked to me being a Scorpio, or just find water really healing. And I was just like, I need to go and swim in the sea. It was a lovely day. And so I made sure that happened. I made sure that happened for myself. And worked around that. So random example, but that was something that really lit me up. And I get these little sacral hits as well. So this is also dependent on following your strengths, being your authentic self by tapping into your strengths, but also following your design as well. So in my human design, I'm a manifesting generator, I'm driven sacrally, and I'll get these little hits where my sacral will respond. So the other day it was like, we need to go in the sea, and I was really super excited, and it's like, I now need to be in the sea. And I got in the sea and my body was like, yes, we're in the sea. And I wasn't actually doing that in the sea. I'm in the sea. So yeah, I get these little sacral hits and I follow them, and when I get excited about something, I will do it. So I've jumped in the river, I've jumped in the sea, And I've got some exciting, I'm not going to announce it just yet, but I have got some exciting news coming on the business front as well, and some things that are coming there. And when I tuned into it, when I tuned into these decisions, it was just like, yes, 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 yes. So it's following that lit up feeling, because that energy is going to drive you on. That energy is infectious. That energy is going to help your clients. And those things that you're like, not sure about. So I did a collaboration last year, and at the time my body was like, not sure, and my head was like, yeah, this person's quite well respected, quite well known to do this collaboration with, so this will be like really good for you. So my head was like, this will be really good for you, this will be really good. My body was like, not sure. So I went and did it and listened to my head, and the whole thing was just a complete flop. I didn't particularly enjoy the work, and it didn't really work out. Like, the collaboration didn't quite work out either. There was sort of a slight, there wasn't such an energetic sort of connection there. So follow what lights you up. Follow your design and your authority. And set those boundaries around it. So Jen's question was, how does it feel to be unapologetically you when you first start on this journey? So great question, Jen, and I feel I've already covered some of this. So sometimes depends on your unique kind of personality, really. But I know for me, when I started being unapologetically me, in the beginning I could feel myself being apologetic. Does that make sense? So even though I wasn't apologizing at the beginning, like just before I shifted into that place, I felt like I had to apologize. So me going and jumping in the sea the other day, I would feel like the old me, like when I was kind of at that level of like on that fence, I guess, on that level, the old me would be like, oh, I'm really sorry, like I just had a moment and had to go for it. Whereas now I'm just like, I want to go in the sea, I'm going to go in the sea. So when you're kind of on that start of that journey, you may feel like the apologizing coming in, and this is something I used to do a lot, with sorry. So the kind of the stages are, I guess, you kind of go through this stage of like not doing what lights you up, not doing it, people pleasing, not having boundaries. Then you kind of stop the people pleasing and you set the boundaries, and you might start like actually doing the things and doing the authentic you things, but you're feeling like you want to apologize, so you might catch yourself. So it's that kind of conscious awareness. And then it's moving into just doing it, and you finding yourself not apologizing, unless you've actually done something wrong that you need to apologize for, but not apologizing for being you. And the more that you do that, the more that you will see that actually, all of those fears that you had about yourself aren't actually true. And if there are those that don't like you being unapologetically you, then they will just fall away. They're not your tribe. And and I have found that people have just naturally that aren't aligned have just fallen away, like quite easily. There's no conflict. It's easy, like the universe kind of aligns for you. If you align and you set those boundaries and you commit to following those things that light you up, and you commit to say no to the things that don't, the universe will reward you for that, and everything will just become flow. So as I said, those people for me have simply just fallen away now, and that is like just ease and flow. And the other thing I will say is, like, it is lit up, right? So Jen, you are a manifester. So if you get that feeling, for you, you can just go. You've got that energy. I have to respond to my sacral, but you can just go. So for you, Jen, that would be like you're just following the thing, which I know you've been doing as of late with your amazing work, is just like following the thing. So what's the thing coming in? I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go do it. So yes, you might need to inform others. So I know sometimes if I'm in like crazy launch mode, or I've got a lot going on, I will just like say to those around me, I'm kind of in the zone right now, I've got a lot going on, so I might not, I might reply to your messages later, or if you call me, I won't answer because I'm in the zone. So you may need to inform those around you. But yeah, it's just like you go. So Jen, as a manifester, you'll just be doing what you're doing now fantastically, which is like kind of download, go. For us MGs, it's waiting for that sacral response. I've had this idea. What does my sacral say? So I'll ask the group. So like today's session, I was like, right, okay, there's like 5 or 6 sort of main topics, but let's ask the group, so you can get a response from people as well as you responding, and then tuning in with your sacral and going, okay, does it light me up? Does it make me go like, woo? So my first kind of experience of that with my sacral was when I got into TEDx, and I got the email saying like, you've made it through to the final speakers, and my whole body just went like whoosh, feeling like woo. I was like dancing. So it's like that lit up feeling. So if you don't get that lit up feeling, it's likely it's not being authentically you, not following that path. So hopefully that explains it. If you're a I won't go through like the other design types in detail, but if you've got emotional authority, then it's always wait 24 hours, sleep on it, and then make that decision. And then you can see with those waves of emotions, like what are the highs, what are the lows of emotions, and using them as data to then make your decisions. So and I know for some of you, splenic authority as well, so that'd be that kind of excited feeling. So hopefully that answers your question, Jen. And I actually had an example of I said to you, the universe will align and things just become flow when you're in touch with your authentic self. So I had something the other day which was a really tough decision. I had an event that I had been invited to speak at, and I'd been part of this event for a few months, in terms of like the advertising and everything, and a few things that had happened kind of made me realise that I wasn't really aligned with it anymore, and energetically it wasn't right for me to be there. Now, this wasn't something I could explain logically, because logically, on a head level, it was like, why would you turn down a speaking event? Like, you're getting in front of people, this is good for your business, there could be ideal clients in the audience. So on a head level and on a logical level, it made no sense why I was feeling like it wasn't aligned for me to do it. But on a body level, I just knew it didn't feel right, and energetically I couldn't be part of that container. And every time I came back to myself and came back to my meditations, it was like, you need to say no, you need to say no, you need to say no. And thankfully there's like a few other speakers, so I've not ruined the event or anything. But I took the brave decision, and I messaged the person running the event and said, I'm really sorry, but I can't, like, I energetically can't do it. And she really understood, actually, really kind of understood that I couldn't do it. And what happened is I just felt this huge like weight lift from me as I said that. So I didn't feel any disappointment. I felt this huge weight lift from me. Like, she was fine with it as well, which I think, we always think, don't we, it's going to be worse. It gives someone else the opportunity to speak. And then yesterday, I was given another speaking opportunity, which is much more aligned, which is global, which is going to be working with entrepreneurs globally. And yeah, it was just so much more aligned with me. So it was like I let that go and I listened to my body, and I knew something else would come and something else would drop in. So I've had something else drop in, so I'm now going to be, so I will share more on this, quite exciting. Going to be speaking at an online global event in October. So when we let things go and we align back with ourselves, things usually drop in. And another analogy, so I actually had this when I was working with a client. I was shown this analogy and I just really liked it, which is like a train on a track. And I saw it with this particular client, that I was shown that she was a train and she was off the train track. So it was just about doing those little things, little nudges to get her back onto the track so that she could move forward. So that's what it's like with aligning with your authentic self, is that if you think about it, everyone is different. Everyone has their unique strengths. Everyone has their unique way of doing things. Everyone runs a business in a different way. And I think this is also an issue I have actually as well, is that, we hear these are the ways to do things. These are the ways to run a business. This is how you should have a marketing funnel. This is how you should run your group. This is how, run a challenge, all these things that we hear, like these are the things that you should do. But in reality, every single person is uniquely different with a unique blend of strengths. Everyone's brains are wired differently. Everyone's had a different life experience. Everyone's had a different childhood. And when you look at this on the neuroscience level and you look at strengths, there are yes, they've had to categorize them, but even then there are 60 strengths. And when you think about every single person and their unique blend of strengths, then one way isn't going to work for everybody. Everyone will have their own unique way of doing this. And this is why coaching is so important to me, because real, genuine coaching, may I add, and this is nothing against, I have nothing against anyone out there coaching and doing great work, but there's a lot of stuff happening that's not actually genuine coaching, and is mentoring and is being badged as coaching. But the beauty of coaching is what we can do is we can tap into this authentic, unique person that we're working with, okay? Because we're tapping into who they are and we're empowering them to bring those things out for them to shine, rather than us telling them how we shine and how they should follow us. Does that make sense? So really trying to just check myself there with integrity, and not because this is a couple of bugbears for me is us not seeing people as unique individuals, not embracing differences, which seems to be a bit of an issue at the moment, but also this coaching badge, which is really another bugbear of mine, but for the reason that coaching is what is unlocking. That's what we're doing with coaching, is that we are unlocking that unique individual, that unique person, not just telling them what we do to follow our what our train tracks are. So hopefully that makes sense. I've gone off on a bit of a boundary, gone off on a bit of a tangent. Okay, so just to summarize, I'm conscious of time and then I'll come on to questions at the end. So for most people, we have to decondition to really shine our light, to be unapologetically, authentically us. What a mouthful, hey? So, it takes us back to our childhood, it takes us back to our root, it takes us back to our conditioning, and we need to decondition. We need to do that shadow work to bring us back to, who we truly are. And this may play out in things like feeling weird, feeling different, feeling like there's something wrong with you, because this is your authentic self, feeling overly sensitive, perhaps having psychic, intuitive gifts. But equally, you may even feel like there's more to life. So I used to feel like there's more than this. There's more, I can express myself out there. There's one side of me, there's more to life. There was this other side of me that was dull it down. So you may have these two sides at play as well, and these sides still come out in me sometimes. I just have to just have to check in with them, you know, the me that wants to go jump in the sea, and then the me that goes, really, are you really good enough to do this? So yeah, just like kind of keeping an eye on those. So we have unique strengths. So one of the best ways that you can be authentically you is by tapping in with your strengths. I am an accredited strengths coach, so if you need some support with tapping into your strengths, I use strengths in all of my programs. So you know, so get in touch if you'd like a tool to help with that, so we can kind of tap into being authentically you. Remembering that everything is energy, and again, this is the reason why I bring energy work into everything, because everything is energy, and we can then really shift on that energetic level. Setting boundaries, you know, following what lights you up and being unapologetic about that as well, and setting those boundaries around those things that you absolutely love doing, and saying no to the things that you don't, because things will open up for you and you're actually more in service to people when you're following what lights you up, okay? Because you're holding that energetic space for them, you're holding that container. And I've seen this happen time and time again, that when I'm lit up and I hold that space for people, energetically it shifts so much more, because everything is energy. So don't forget that. So I'd love to know, what are you going to do today to be more authentically you, unapologetically? Stop apologizing for being you. Go and be awesome. And has anyone got any questions? Feel free to pop your questions in comments. So if you're watching the replay, pop a question and I will come back to it. So any questions from anyone watching? Let's check I can see all the... Just look through the comments. You're welcome, Jen. No worries, Jill. You had to go. Jill, you put huge boundaries around not working with too many because you'd worked such long hours in the past. Yeah, it can be, and sometimes we hold on to those long hours as well, don't we? I don't know if you're still watching or not, Jill, but sometimes we hold on to those long hours because, you know, because they kept us safe, they stopped us, they distracted us. That was one thing for me when I used to be a bit of a workaholic, and actually that kind of kept me safe, so that I didn't work on myself, and I didn't do my shadow work and things like that, because I was like, oh, I'm so busy with work. But I was the one kind of creating that. So yeah, worth looking at the shadow side of that. Emma, you've just made me realise just how much I say sorry or apologise. Yes, Emma, stop apologising for being you. But that's right, that's the fence thing I talked about. So that realisation, that awareness of like, oh, hang on, I say sorry a lot. Step 1. Step 2, having the thought and not saying it. Step 3, not even having the thought. Okay, so it's like getting on that fence and then tipping over into that place where you're eventually just in flow, just being yourself, not even having those, because and this is something that I've noticed a lot in other people. I think because I've done all this shadow work and because I've cleared so much, I'm noticing this so much in other people, because I'm just in flow now. But I can like see like people putting all these layers over things, and like overthinking like all these layers over something that's really, really simple. So yeah, I'm sort of seeing this a lot more at the moment, I think. So yeah, just checking yourself with that one. So any questions, let me know. I will come back to anyone watching on the replay. I hope you've enjoyed today's session, and I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye.